Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Okay. I know. I've said this before. Obama won the last election. So to the Democrats and liberal socialists, no hard feelings. As a matter of fact, I've written a poem to smooth things over. The election day is over. The talking is done. My party lost. Your party won. So let us be friends. Let arguments pass. I'll hug my elephant, and you can kiss your... Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday. Good morning. Oh, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you and your driving, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. Well, good morning, Gina Jameson.
Well, good morning, sunshine, and how are you on this chilly Monday?
I just thought I'd send a little poem out this morning.
I love that one. I loved your poem.
I'm cold. I'm cold.
Very cold. I was driving to work and it was negative 16.
Yeah, here, listen to this. Over the last week, 34 below in Sioux Falls, 20 below in Denver, most of the country west of the Mississippi below zero, dangerous ice storms, and, never heard a thing, not one word from the global warming alarmists. I'll be darned.
I think we're in a deep freeze. It's not global warming. It's a deep freeze.
I'll tell you what, these kooks and crackpots, you guys did it. No, we're in a cyclical pattern. And quite frankly, we're breaking out of the cyclical pattern of warming. You can tell with these severe cold temperatures. I am so fed up with this.
Water on a trickle.
There's something I could add to that, but I won't.
Don't.
Do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Al on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Great. All right, Al, go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, my friend.
Mr. Bell.
How are you, my friend?
Damn cold.
Yeah, I know. Hey, by the way, I want to just say something to you, Al, and everybody else. Thank you to the Lunch Bunch. What great support we had. We had over 70 people there last Thursday. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the cards. Thank you for all the kind thoughts. And we had a lot of donations to give away. And I also want to thank John and Melody Bond. John made some extra pens to give away, and Melody made some really nice red, white, and blue patriotic throw rugs. It was just a wonderful, wonderful day.
I know. It amazes me how this started out with, 8 of us?
Yeah.
And it's grown into this, and it's getting bigger.
It is, and God bless every one of them.
I appreciate everybody that's been showing up and supporting us, because I think we've worked pretty damn hard to build that up.
I agree.
I'd like to keep it that way.
I agree. Al, the very best to you and Polly.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of us that Well, I'll talk to you about it later.
All right, buddy.
You know what I'm talking about.
I appreciate your help always. Thank you. God bless. All right, it's time for the weather, and here is Michael Rogers' weather. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Officially, and I'm not going to get into a temperature argument because when it gets cold, everybody likes to one-up you on the temperature. Officially, it's 5 above at the Jerome Airport, the Burley Airport, and the Twin Falls Airport. Now, this is all real simple. So when you watch TV tonight, and you see the TV guys wasting a lot of time giving you a bunch of information you don't need because all you really want to know is when's it going to warm up. You can hear it from me. You're not going to see 40 until Saturday. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. It'll be partly to mostly cloudy throughout the week. Slight chance of snow on Saturday. You'll struggle to get to 40. Now, just to finish this up, you got a bunch of cold air coming down from the north. And like I told you last week, when it is warm in Alaska, and they're up into the 20s and the 30s in December with freezing rain, closing schools and all that, that cold air has to go somewhere. It's coming down to us. It's going to be with us for the week. But you heard it from me, and now you can go and get on with the rest of your life. You won't see 40 until Saturday. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. Tell me whether you got it.
There's the man right there, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Thank you, Michael. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Don't forget our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I got to stop in there today because I'm really almost out of shirts. Holy smokes. I put them all in that rumply-crumply bag, and I've got to get them ready for the Christmas holidays coming up. Oh, my goodness. Don't forget, too, that you can get those prepaid gift cards from Daryl's Cleaners, and they're really a neat gift to put in the stocking stuffers. So don't forget, the best cleaners in the world, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I might even see you there at Daryl's Cleaners. One other group I want to talk about real quick, and that's SafeLink Internet. And I have to say something personal about SafeLink right now this morning. As many of you know, I'm going in for a major operation on January 6th in Salt Lake, and they sent me the nicest card about my upcoming surgery from SafeLink Internet, and thank you very much. That meant a lot to me. It really does. Unlimited data, yes to free installations, no to credit checks, no to high prices, the best. We're so satisfied with SafeLink Internet. Absolutely. Idaho's #1 choice in wireless high-speed Internet. SafeLink Internet. Call them today at 677-8000. Very nice people. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I don't see a Chia Obama back there.
You want to know why? I'll tell you something. Deanne, go grab the Obama head out of the sink real quick. It's still growing, alias.
You're soaking his head.
Yes, I am. And go here. Hold it on camera. There you go. And are you watching on camera right now?
Yeah, but it's way delayed. I don't know how many minutes delayed.
Hold on. It shouldn't be more than 10 seconds. I'm going to put it back in the camera range right now. We're still soaking President Obama. There, I'm holding it up in front of the camera. And he will be in full view tomorrow, alias, I promise.
Okay, yeah. It's a piece of nice green afro growing.
Yeah, we're going to put him right next to the other caricature that we have behind us. But God bless you, man. Thanks. I'm glad you called because I couldn't wait to hear from you. I'm putting that. He's in the sink. He'll be here tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Alias gave me a really nice gift at the deal the other day. It's a kind of an Obama Chia pet, and I can't wait. He's in the sink, literally. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Valley White Home and Ranch. We're going to be there this Thursday. Yes, we are, for a great big, huge Cowboy Christmas remote. Don't miss it. And they've got live Christmas trees over there for sale. They've got all the women's area boots. Those are really nice. Just ask my wife. And they've got all your feed. They've got straw for you. They've got everything for Christmas at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Don't you miss out on the best in shopping. Right there with people that can really help you. Mandy and the rest of the crew at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Really, really good folks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
I am fantabulous. How are you?
did you wear your Green Bay stocking cap this morning?
Really, I've got that stocking cap in a place where I can have it in full reserve at a moment's notice. And it's seriously, it's on my four-wheeler. And whenever I go up in the mountains, I got that stocking cap right there so that I can stick it on. Keith gave me a Green Bay stocking cap about a year and a half ago, and it's one of my treasured possessions because it keeps me warm when I'm up four-wheeling. And the Packers won yesterday, and they might still have an outside chance of making the playoffs.
Well, good for you. What I want to talk about this morning is, you've heard of fuzzy math.
Yes.
And you've heard of creative math.
Yes.
What do you think of Obama math?
I don't know how they figure it. I'd be honest with you.
Well, I don't either, but this is what I came up with. They claim to have created 203,000 jobs in November.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those were furloughed government workers coming back to work?
That's right. Most of that number was government workers. And here's something else, too, that the general public does not want to admit, that's possibly the voting public that voted for Obama. A lot of people, Keith, and I'm talking a major percentage, have given up looking for jobs, and that's why the unemployment figures are skewed. They say at 7%. Actually, the figures are at almost 10.5 to 11%, and I'm sick and tired of the lies. I'm sick and tired of this government covering up the truth about unemployment. It's all been fictitiously skewed in favor of Obama.
People used to make fun of the Reaganomics.
Yeah.
I'd like to have some of them about right now, wouldn't you?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I miss the man. I miss the attitude. I miss the culture that we had when he was in office. I miss everything, and I totally agree. Totally agree.
And one other thing before I leave. The 7th of December, a day that I'll always remember because I was born in 37, so in 41 is when I was 4 years old.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor Day.
But I remember the sacrifice and everything that people made, as civilians as well as military at this time.
Absolutely.
We didn't make much of a fuss about it this year.
I'm going to be talking about that in just a minute, so stay tuned on your radio, okay? Because I've got a story about that. I don't want you to miss this. Keith, thank you for your call. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
You bet.
Thank you. I'm glad he brought that up because I wanted to mention something about Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th. Stand by just a moment, please. Caller, I'll be with you momentarily. The Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley with our great friend Colonel Dale. You can stop in there for greeting cards, crafts, art supplies, children's books, jewelry, everything you need for Christmas gift giving. Plus, they got over 200,000 books, too, new and used. You won't go away empty-handed. It's also the National Pioneer Hall of Fame Book Plaza home. You better believe it, the Book Plaza with Colonel Dale and his great crew. 222 West 11th Street in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Oh, and I also want to mention something else that's very, very important. At Valleywide this week on Thursday, we're going to have a remote broadcast over there from 8 to 11 this Thursday, and the first hour from 8 to 9, we are going to be, Steve and I bought a whole bunch of Sophie's Chatterbox cinnamon rolls, and we're going to give them away free that first hour to anybody that comes on down there to do their shopping. So come on down, and don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, you better order your Christmas treats right now, and get your order in by no later than December 23rd so you can enjoy it on Christmas. Ooh, I'm talking about bread and rolls and cookies and cinnamon rolls the size of footballs. Holy cow, it's great at Sophie's Chatterbox. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Would you do me a huge favor? Would you please send me that poem that you wrote?
Yeah,
I laughed until tears run down my face.
Well, I put a note on it, and I'll try to remember to do that. But you know, my memory is very short, so sometimes you might have to just kick me and remind me. But I'll get it to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Keith mentioned just a minute ago, and this is one of the stories that you go, you got to be kidding me. Are you serious that we've got people that would be that low and stoop that low and complain about this? Here's what happened in commemoration of December 7th, the day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Campbell's Soup Company that makes SpaghettiOs, wanted to commemorate our veterans and what happened on December 7th. So on the label of the SpaghettiOs, they had a little cartoon caricature of a SpaghettiO waving an American flag. That's it. A SpaghettiO proudly waving an American flag to commemorate December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, this past weekend. And they got hammered. They had all kinds of flack coming in for a cartoon SpaghettiO waving the United States flag. They did it to be patriotic, you numbheads. I almost said something else. They did it to honor our country. They did it to honor our veterans. And World War II veterans loved it. They loved the thought behind it. But now it's almost taboo in this country to proudly wave the American flag, and for some stupid, silly reason, a SpaghettiO cartoon can't and shouldn't be waving the flag. They said that, no, that's not right. Don't do that. We don't want that flag waved. Are you kidding me? Have we gone down to that basement right now that we can't honor December 7th, 1941, and kudos to the Campbell Soup Company. I mean, I'm just going to really support them from now on because they picked out December 7th and they knew about the historic value of that day and saluting our veterans, saluting our troops, and they put a SpaghettiO on there, a cartoon character, holding an American flag. What is wrong with that? We have turned into such a politically correct nation, it's sickening. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Deanne ran in there the other day and talked to Keith, and he says, hey, tell everybody in this cold we've got heat lamps, and we've got extension cords. We've got them laying all over the place. We've got extension cords here. We've got heat lamps there. We got more extension cords over there. So don't forget, they've got what's going to keep everything warm. That's right. Stop into Ramsey Heating and Electric today, where they've always had warm winters and cool summers at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really, really nice people. By the way, we also want to say thank you to some of our great Merry Christmas sponsors, and they include my old buddy Jimmy at People's Quality Pack, wishing everybody a very Merry Christmas. And for all your custom cut meats and wrap, call Jimmy at 436-4557 at People's Quality Packing. AMI 719 Overland and Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door and go nuts over their bolts. Love that. AMI and Certified Pest Control wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. For all your getting rid of your pests, call them at 312-5856. And my buddy Joe Taylor with Carey and Adams Realty. I love this guy. I mean, man, I'm telling you, Joe is just absolutely the greatest. Buying and selling real estate, one call does it all to Joe Taylor, 678-9400. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you happen to catch Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, Rahm's brother, on television with Chris Wallace this weekend in a rather heated debate about Obama doesn't care? This whole pathetic mess is dependent upon the younger generation getting involved in buying Obama doesn't care. And they're not going to buy it. The young people are not going to buy into this plan. And Dr. Emanuel said that now they need a much better PR campaign. Oh, I see. Now he's urging Obama and the rest of the Democrats to really put forth a huge advertising PR campaign that, yeah, you guessed it, you're ahead of me, you and I are going to pay for. to try to sway the young people to buy into a mess and a fiasco called Obama Doesn't Care. And the man's nuts. Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel. I mean, he wouldn't listen to common sense. Chris Wallace asked him some very pointed questions. He skirted the issues, would not answer directly. That is typical and also very much like everybody else connected with this fiasco. It's a shame. I don't know what we're going to do to correct it. I really don't know what we're going to do to correct it. I want to talk about something else in just a minute, too. The federal government, I'll quickly throw this at you. Federal government, and thanks to a guy up in Oregon, a congressman from Oregon, he was interviewed this past weekend on the news, and he stood there wearing a bright green fluorescent bicycle pin. And this United States congressman from Oregon wants the federal government to double the gas tax at the pump. And this pea-brained idea, he said that drivers should be punished for excess use of the roads and more highway repairs. And then when he was pushed as to, well, now wait a minute, if they do double the gas tax, are they going to make absolutely positively certain that money will absolutely go to highway repairs? And he wouldn't answer the question. Double the gas tax. I mean, it's absolutely crippling right now what's going on at the pumps. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Did you happen to see Huckabee Saturday night or last night?
I did not, sir. No, I'm sorry.
Well, if you get a chance to pick up the song that they sang on there, you need to do it and put it out over the air.
Well, tell me a little bit about it quickly.
12 Obama days before Christmas.
Okay. The 12 Obama days before Christmas?
Yeah.
Well,
it tells how you can't keep your doctor. You can't, or Harry, the 5 faces of old Harry Reid. It's a good song and very true.
All right, well, we'll, with my crack staff of one over at the main studios, Gina, we'll try to find that and put it on the air before the Christmas holidays. How's that?
That sounds like a...
All right, Dal. Thank you. God bless you, man. Thanks much. Appreciate it. Hey, it is time right now for all of us to say howdy to Pacific Steel. You better believe it. Pacific Iron and Steel, you better believe they are absolutely the best. Pacific Steel and Recycling. And before that, though, we're also going to talk a little bit about Travel Lube Supply. If you haven't got your pipe insulation tape or your pipe wrap insulation kits, or maybe you need fuel filters, or maybe you need some of the power service, whatever you need, electric water pipe heating cables, Pink Bubba ropes, they've got it all for you at Travel Lube Supply. My dear friend Jim and the rest of the crew at Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn. The number to call is 438-8730. And by the way, quick note here, on December 19th, not this week, next week, on December 19th, we're going to have the Zeb at the Ranch Cowboys Singing Corral. We're all going to gather at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and at 5:30 in the night, and we're going to go around singing on a flatbed trailer provided by, of course, our friend Jim McCall at Travel Lube Supply. And we also want to thank Let's Ride, Ramsey Heating and Electric, and Smith's Food King, along with Travel Lube Supply. Going to be a lot of fun. It's time for the Pacific Steel Ag Minute, brought to you by, of course, our friends up there at the Capital Press Ag newspaper. And Pacific Steel is going to tell you all about their great thing that they're offering, 10 cents per pound on aluminum cans, and a bonus of $20 per ton on scrap iron and tin, with donation of 2 canned food items to help the needy in our area with the Helping Hands mission. But right now, first and foremost, here is the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. The Wheat Foods Council is defending the health attributes of enriched grains and white flour. The council recently drafted a letter supporting enriched grains, following a November 12th article in the Washington Post about healthful alternatives to baking with white flour. That story said refined white flour is called the white devil by many in the nutrition community and claims most of the essential minerals are lost during the enrichment process. Enriched white flour is the finely ground endosperm of the wheat kernel. Nutrients that are milled out are replaced through enrichment or fortification, according to the Council. The Centers for Disease Prevention and Control credits the enrichment of wheat with dramatically lowering birth defects. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
Oh, thank you. Don't forget our friends at Pacific Steel and Recycling. 2 locations serving you, 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. Wonderful, wonderful folks, and they're going to be drawing for a dinner, too. The drawing will be, I believe, on December 18th, and stop in today to Pacific Steel and Recycling. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear that story about, I've said for a long time, green energy is, I don't know another word for it, stupid. Green energy with these horrendous windmills, cancers on the landscape, stupid. And solar, stupid. Not working, not paying its way, and costing us, the American taxpayer, billions. Well, now, studies are out, and you probably saw this in the newspaper over the weekend, that the United States is going to allow, here was the headline in the newspaper, the United States is going to allow eagle deaths because of windmill power. Yeah, green energy is killing eagles and other birds with windmills. But the government says that's okay. That's a good sacrifice to get everybody over to green energy. Wait a minute, stop the bus for a minute. Now, if somebody wants to drill for oil, which is not going to kill any birds, not going to hurt anybody with the modern technology that we have today, or if they wanted to do fracking, that's stopped. That is stopped. But Obama's idiocy, that's what it is, with green energy, can absolutely and hurt the environment and hurt the birds. And where are the environmentalists during all this? Hold on, caller, just a minute. I want to read this one paragraph that was out of this story this morning in the Times News. An investigation by the Associated Press earlier this year documented the illegal killing of eagles around wind farms, the Obama administration's reluctance to prosecute such cases, and its willingness to keep the scope of the eagle deaths secret. They're hiding the facts. Gee, what else is new? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Boy, you hit my statement with your last one. What else is new? Them darn cancers on the landscape and murder machines, whatever you want to call them, they're just a disgrace to the world.
Absolutely.
And they shouldn't even be one, let alone as many as we've got.
Every time I
called in this morning, Zeb, what's that guy's name that makes the pins?
John Bond does a wonderful job.
Bond?
John Bond, B-O-N-D.
B-O-N-D. Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
Get out of the way.
And I'll see you tonight. Thank you very much, Jerry. Appreciate that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Can you imagine? The Associated Press, they did this study, and they said, hey, wait a minute. How come the Obama administration is hiding all the facts? Well, they want to keep all the eagle deaths secret, so it doesn't kind of give a black eye to green power. And in another Associated Press investigation, recently showed that corn-based ethanol blended into the nation's gasoline has proven, listen carefully, folksies, has proven more damaging to the environment than politicians promised and worse than the government acknowledges. But Nope. Obama says full speed ahead in hopes that green energy will help fight climate change. I am so sick of this climate change. I am so sick of these nimrods that believe in climate change when most scientists are scoffing at it right now today. Even one of the editorial staff at the Times News kind of rebuked everybody for questioning climate change, and I can't wait to get him on my program again. Caller, just stand by. Yours truly is running late. Please let me get this word in. I'll be right with you. I want to thank Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop. Wonderful folks over there at Middlecoff in Twin. Absolutely. If you've had an accident or a fender bender and you need to get things fixed up, hey, they can do the job for you. They strive to make your vehicle repairs undetectable. Don't forget that. They're ICAR certified. Only shop in Twin Falls area as such. Call them at 736-2490. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, it's the duplicity, the hypocrisy is unbelievable, and yet they still think we're going to be able to eliminate all of our coal fire, carbon dioxide producing energy, and just use, windmills and solar panels. It's so ludicrous, it's unbelievable. But I think the figures that were published in the paper a while back, there were 200 that the energy companies, the wind generators, admitted 273,000 birds had been killed.
Yeah.
That's what they admitted to, and I forget there was a lot of bald eagles and a lot of rare birds in that nest. But the whole thing is just absolutely ludicrous. And look at this, how this global warming, I've got -1 right now, temperature right over here in Filer, and it's just, the whole country's in a deep freeze, iced over, and like I say, the climatologist predicted that we're in for some cold weather, and boy, we're getting it.
Yeah, I tell you something, I am absolutely, I laugh and I scoff at the liberals and the ridiculous attitude of this administration, and I also scoff at people like the gentleman at the Times News that scoffed at us, the non-believers of global warming, and I'd like to have him on my program as soon as possible to talk about more pollution, loss of conservation land, and the death of these eagles and other birds due to a silly, frivolous, absolutely insane plan of green energy which is not working. And I'll go back to what I said a moment ago. They'll go ahead and put up these cancers on the landscape, and they'll go ahead and kill the birds, and they'll go ahead and spend these billions of dollars for absolutely nothing in return. It's not paying off. But at the same time, they will not allow any of the fracking or drilling for oil, which could put us out of these doldrums and start making this country work again. It's complete idiocy.
Well, they realize that, again, you have to look at the big picture. They want to create a situation where we become a third world nation so that the elitists can put us into the United Nations and we can all be equally slaves and live in poverty like the rest of the world. That's what the goal is, Eb, and we've discussed this on your program very much. And until people realize that this is the goal, that all of that happens, between now and then, is just to bring our economy down to its knees, do everything it can to destroy the manufacturing base. We've farmed out in 20 years under NAFTA and these trade agreements, 40,000 factories, millions of, I think 9 million jobs have been lost. And so people can't find work. They've given up finding work. And, folks, we've got to get back to the fact that socialism never works. We need to get out of the United Nations immediately, if not sooner. And that's where we're all going. All the power under Agenda 21 is going to the United Nations, and all of this green stuff, they lie, they cheat, they steal, anything to forward their agenda, and then the national news media just goes along with it and says it's okay.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Just a point here, and then a short answer because I'm stacked up with calls. If this were now the Bush administration, and this were his agenda to raise and put up these steeples of idiocy, these wind power machines, the media would be all over George Bush. But this is an Obama deal, and you don't hear anything on NBC, CBS, or ABC. And thank you for the Associated Press and their investigation, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, unfortunately, you're right. But, as people got to study it out, and I'm telling people you need to get on the New American magazine, thenewamerican.com, because they've got new articles every day that will explain this information. People say, well, where do you get your information? I mean, I do a lot of reading.
Real fast, Adrian, I'm running late. Hurry.
You have to do the research, and then you're informed, and then you can work on our elected officials to uphold their oath of office.
Absolutely.
The Constitution.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I got to run. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Hey, don't forget at Four Paws Bed and Bath for your dogs and kitty cats. 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Oh, they're having a big Santa party this coming Saturday, December 14th from 11 to 3. Free pictures with Santa for the pets, the kids, and the family. Refreshments, discounts, all kinds of great things. And don't forget to bring in a donation of pet food, and that would really be nice, and you can be entered to win their giveaway basket. That's going to be fun this coming weekend at Four Paws Santa Party. Don't miss it from 11 to 3. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Obama's so much against oil. He wants to conserve oil. Why is he going over to Africa to that funeral?
Well,
I think this is unnecessary. They'll be burning millions of gallons of fuel just to get over there and back. And this is all going to come back to us in a huge bill.
Well, he's going over as the head of our country to represent the United States of America. He picks and chooses where he's going to be. He picks and chooses where he's going to put his face on the front page of newspapers. Don't get me started. And, I'm just going to come right out and say something. And you folks in the audience might be offended by this. But Nelson Mandela was a communist. Nelson Mandela was not all that people perceive him to be. Yes, he had a great personality as far as weathering a storm and coming out with, later on, the love for his persecutors. But the man was a communist, and he's not all that glitters being gold. And I just want to say that up front.
Yeah, I was going to bring that point up about the Communist Party that he belonged to. And here this man, Obama's getting down on his knees and adoring this guy. Unreal.
As many others are, too. Tony, God bless you and Mary. Always good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't forget your Mini-Cash Area Merchants Association. Shop locally and save money. Great stores in the Burley Rupert area that do all your Christmas shopping. And support your friends and neighbors. That's right. They own the local businesses, and they're supporting you. Well, shop them first before you take your money out of town. Absolutely. And don't forget to get your shopping passport stamped at local stores and check your local paper for coupons and specials. Absolutely. Mini-Cash Area Merchants Association. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You think there's not a war on Christmas? When you think and you hear these liberals on television or radio, and they say, there's no war on Christmas. What's the matter with you people? You just got a phobia. Well, in just a moment after I take this call, I'm going to talk to you about an elementary school in Texas. And I want to share with you about how the board of the school said, no references to Christmas, no red or green clothing, or don't you dare say Merry Christmas. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I'd have his job, but what I told about was they make all this big fuss about that communist Mandela for what he'd done and all that stuff. I didn't see one flag come down half-staff for Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
You talk about hypocrisy.
Well, you bring up a really good point, and one of the people that I was going to talk about, as a matter of fact, was Margaret Thatcher, and the friendship, the kinship, the ally, and everything, and the way that was handled, and Obama, of course, with Nelson Mandela. There's a lot of holes in the Mandela screen door, as a matter of fact, and a lot of things that I don't think that a lot of Americans are aware of, and he actually condemned the United States of America in many of his remarks and quotations, of which I have a whole list of them right here on the table. So I appreciate your comment, Al. Thank you.
I mean, let's face it, he's the biggest hypocrite liar I've seen. And how come his uncle can stay in here in the United States from deporting people a hell of a lot better than they are?
Well, yeah, but Uncle Oscar, he said finally, well, yeah, Barack or Barry stayed with me for a while when he was going to school. Why, we're one big happy family. But Barack evidently is embarrassed of Uncle Oscar. Can you imagine?
I wonder why.
You really? Thanks, Al. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't you dare go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're going to have a quick weather forecast with MichaelRogersWeather.com, and it's brought to you this hour by our friends at Quality's Electronics. Big Christmas sale going on right now at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. You'll find special sale prices plus additional factory instant rebates. Holy smokes, on HD TVs, home theater systems, Blu-ray players, sound bars, digital cameras. All of this and more at My Friends, where they wish you a Merry Christmas. Quality's Electronics in Twin Falls. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. I'm going to make this real simple for you. You're not going to see 40 until Saturday. That's what's happening right now. 11 above for the high, 21 for the high tomorrow, 28 for the high on Wednesday. You will slowly warm up, but you won't see 40 until Saturday. Stay warm, put a sweater on, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, Michael. Thank you. Brought to you this hour by My Friends. TVs all over the place. Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Beck. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. What can I do for you this morning?
You know, this crap about people trying to take Merry Christmas out of Christmas is just really beginning to piss me off. You know, I'm going to say it again, Merry Christmas, and I'm going to keep saying it. If they don't like it, if they're offended by it, they can leave my country.
Well, you know that I'm not going to change. As a matter of fact, I've got buttons out that say it's okay to say Merry Christmas to me, and I've got those for sale. Anybody that wants one can certainly call me, and we'll make arrangements to get them to you. They're only $2 a piece, and all the proceeds are going to go back to help needy families at Christmas time. But this school, listen to this. The school board down at this Texas elementary school said no. They had a class assembly, and they said to the students, you can't refer to Christmas in school. You can't wear any red or green clothing, or you can't say Merry Christmas. You can't do that, which is limiting our First Amendment rights, by the way. And so a congressman from Texas by the name of Rosen, now listen to what happened here. He combined all of his thoughts and energies to come up with what's called the Merry Christmas Bill, and it's going to pass the Texas legislature, and they're going to tell schools in Texas, shut up, don't mess with Christmas, and leave it alone.
Well, good for them. You know, we ought to take a lesson from Texas.
Amen. Amen. Like the old slogan goes, don't mess with Texas.
That's right. Don't mess with the USA.
There you go. Or our hallowed traditions. And you know what's really stupid about this, Donna, is that it's a federal holiday. And we or anybody else, whether they're students or whether they're people our age, can do whatever they want, say whatever they want about Christmas, put up whatever they want about Christmas. It's a federal holiday. And to the people that are cowards and people in education that want to run with their tail between their legs, don't you dare try to stymie the kids wishing each other a Merry Christmas.
Oh, heavens no. And like I said before, I'm going to keep saying Merry Christmas. And if it offends somebody, too dadgum bad. They can go to someplace else. They don't have to live in my country.
You know, I appreciate your call. God bless, and I guess we'll see you later on.
I guess we will, too. Have a Merry Christmas
All right.
again.
God bless. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I'm calling you again because I've got a beef.
Uh-oh.
If Obama wants to go to Africa, let him go on his dime, not mine. And if by the time he takes 12 or so planes to haul his dog, his family, him, everybody that's associated with it, his cars, his trucks, his buses, to hell with him.
You know, I just wish, and I've said this to you before, you've got to not hold this stuff in. It's not good. You've got to let it out. You've got to unleash the beast. You've got to feel like you can say what you want to say.
Well, if I haven't said what was on my mind, you would be wondering if I was sick.
You have no idea how you make me cringe in this studio in fear.
I love you, Zed.
Thank you. I love you, too. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Every time she calls, and I know she's mad about something, I sit there and I go, whoo, baby, here we go. We're in trouble now. I love her. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Carrie Underwood is a wonderful young lady. Carrie Underwood is just an absolutely great singer. I mean, absolutely a great singer. She's got a voice that she can sing anything. I don't care if it's the opening to Monday Night Football. I don't care if it's the national anthem. I don't care what it is. Carrie Underwood is blessed with a huge talent to be able to sing. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but they hired her to do a live performance of The Sound of Music. Remember the original with the movie and everything about the Von Trapp family and of course, Julie Andrews. I'm not going to go into all of this, but anyway, they hired her to do a live performance, which would be very, very difficult on television or in any other venue to do a live performance of The Sound of Music. And she did an excellent job. Most all the critics that I've read about her singing, absolutely phenomenal of all the different songs. But then some of these liberal creeps climbed out of their rat holes and they said, well, we didn't like it at all because her acting ability was a little bit, wasn't good enough. It just was kind of low class and all this. Wait a minute. She's not an actress, never purported to be. But she did, I thought, an excellent job with the portrayal in a live broadcast of The Sound of Music with excellent, excellent singing of the songs, and yet these dimwits have to come out and condemn her. And you know what her response was to them? Do you know what her response was to basically shut them up? She said she's going to pray for them. She never had a bad response. She didn't want to get mixed up with a bunch of, he said, she said back, that type of thing. No, she just said simply, I'll pray for them. They have a right to their opinion. I'll pray for them. What a nice professional attitude, and her career and her singing absolutely should be lauded and praised for her response back to the nitwits. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. I agree totally with the statement you just made and with the statement the lady made just a moment ago. The only reason I called back to the windmills, we were down in Salt Lake, and I think it was either November 23rd or 24th, Salt Lake Tribune had an article in it about the government suing some Wyoming wind company. And I forget whether or not suing them, fining them. And I forget whether it was $1 million or millions of dollars over eagle deaths. Mm-hmm. And I thought that quite interesting that we subsidize putting them in and then we fine them, when it kills birds.
The whole thing is just lunacy. I don't know a better word for it. It's lunacy, what this government is trying to portray to us as acceptable. Now, let me ask you one question. I know that you're a very sharp man and that you do a lot of studying on what's going on with current events. Please tell me one circumstance that you know of where green energy, be it wind power or solar, has created a positive or a surplus or a cash benefit to our society.
It's not. I do not know of one.
You won't know of one because there hasn't been one.
There hasn't been one, and there will not be one.
So why are we being led by this man down a path of wasting billions of our tax dollars into something that they want to keep secret because of all the eagle and bird deaths? They want to keep secret because now combined with the ethanol blended into the nation's gasoline, it's been proven to cause more pollution and a loss of conservation land and the deaths of these eagles. Why aren't people standing up and saying, Obama, you're an idiot?
Well, we have that society that's standing around with their hand out, and they'll go along with whatever he says as long as he can keep filling their hand up.
I agree with you totally. We've turned into a gimme, wannabe, I got to have more society, but I don't want to work for it. I don't want to put forth an effort. You are spot on, my friend.
10-4, and signing off. Merry Christmas.
And
appreciate you.
Merry Christmas to you, sir. Thank you so much. Very nice man right there. Very nice man. Don't forget, I know where some very nice people are also, and they're at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Yup. They've got all the winter traction tires. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I got my tires from Les Schwab. I really am. This past weekend, I was glad. I had to escape people that were coming at me on a couple of occasions, and they got the best in tire chains, they've got the best in batteries, the best in snow wheels, the best in brake service and shocks and struts and front end alignments. They're the best. They are the best. All 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy, the world's biggest Seahawk fan on Overland and Burley, the best, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. I got time for a couple more calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, real quick note here. Most all of the people that are standing out there in front of McDonald's and Wendy's and other fast food restaurants that are protesting and saying they're demanding a $15 an hour minimum wage. Well, first of all, I want to know for sure if they work in the fast food industry. Second of all, supposedly they don't belong to any unions. So my answer to my own question would be, if they don't work for any unions and they're out there on the street picketing and causing problems to their employer, if they work there, fire them. Get rid of them. Say, don't let the doorknob hit you in the posterior on the way out. You don't need that kind of trash working for you while they're standing out in front of the business condemning you. If they don't belong to a union and they don't have any association whatsoever to really keep their paycheck coming in while they're wasting your time and theirs standing out picketing you, fire them. Get people in there that want to work. Get people in there that want to work and appreciate the job. This lunacy of $15 an hour minimum wage, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. And we don't need Mr. Rob, my old econ teacher in high school, to come forward and say, well, gee, if they go to $15 an hour minimum wage, why, that's going to inflate the price of everything. Duh. Good heavens, what kind of knotheads are running our society? Whew, I feel better now. I'm going to turn it back over to Gina. She's going to go to ABC News, and then we'll be back next hour with Frosty Woolridge. Don't go away. I'll see you in 6. That is so pretty. Wow. What is that, Gina?
Just some Christmas bumper music.
I love that. Oh, God bless you, and Merry Christmas, everybody. And Gina Jameson doing a fantabulous job over at our studio. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you for safe wintertime driving, along with some of our advertisers that we include, like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Absolutely the best in services to you getting rid of your garbage. Get a hold of those great folks today at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Get on the route service and the big trucks come by like they do every Thursday here at our place. What a great job they do. You believe me, call them at 734-6969. Absolutely the best, and I really mean that as a personal testimonial. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. We'll have our guest with us in just a moment, but I also want to remind you, too, about Joel Heward, owner-manager of Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And whenever there's the passing of a loved one, it's a very solemn, very worrisome time of trying to get everything all done in just a matter of a few days. Well, their staff can help and will help, always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. So please contact Hanson Mortuary today at 436-5636. And all of us need to get the information on pre-planning of funerals to help alleviate a lot of the stress and the worry for our family. Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Well, I say good morning and Merry Christmas to a dear, dear friend high in the mountain country of Colorado with what I think is going to be a definite shoo-in, if they can stay healthy, for the Super Bowl, the Denver Broncos. Here's Frosty Woldridge.
Well, good morning, Zeb, and good morning, everyone, and a Merry Christmas wishes here in Colorado to everyone in Radio Land and Zeb at the Ranch. And thank you. You know, what an amazing, I tell you what, let's face it, Peyton Manning carried the Colts for those 14 years, and now he is carrying the Denver Broncos. It shows you that this is one of the great, or if not one of the greatest athletes in all time of football, certainly, to have such extraordinary talent, such a mind, and such a physical ability. He's 6'5" inches tall and weighs around 230, I think, and has a mind like a computer. You can see him dissecting those defenses, and he's so in tune with each one of his speedsters, you know, and those Eric Decker or Thomas, or, you know, all these guys, both Thomases, each one of them has a certain speed, and he matches that ball and their speed and puts it right into their hands. It's extraordinary to watch. Of course, as you all know, I'm really proud of the Michigan State Spartans.
Oh, I knew it was coming. I knew he couldn't go more than 2 minutes into his interview without mentioning that, and I do salute you. I didn't think it was going to happen. As a matter of fact, look at the odds in Vegas, and neither did they. There was a lot of money laying on the floor. I'll guarantee you the Spartans played tough.
Well, they certainly did. The Michigan State Spartans really showed the United States that here's a team that has really stepped up, and they really showed the Buckeyes all the hype and all that. It just doesn't make any difference. You've got to be able to play the game and finish it out. And the Spartans really stepped up, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, I don't care. I've still got the old Michigan State Spartan blood in me, and it's a great feeling to watch something like that happen, and then to see Peyton Manning and the Broncos. So there's a lot of fun going on in the Woldridge household this week, and I'm pretty tickled.
You know something? Nobody, and I'm not saying this just to put extra feathers in your nest. I'm being honest about this. Nobody knows more about illegal aliens and immigration reform, or the lack of, than you. And I was absolutely astounded when I listened to this story that was coming across the wire services this morning and also on the early morning newscast about how Obama and the White House, they are hiring now, you probably know all about this story, pro-amnesty lawyers. They're going to fill up the White House with pro-amnesty lawyers to help illegal aliens stay in this country and basically open up our borders and just absolutely shun any immigration reform whatsoever unless it's their way. I'm sick about this. I am absolutely sick about this administration, and they're breaking the law, breaking the Constitution, and breaking what the American people want.
Well, that's correct. And also, even NPR reported over the weekend that it's called the birth tourism. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Chinese and other Asians are coming over to this country pregnant, and they're birthing their child on American soil and using the misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment to gain a birth certificate. And once they have that birth certificate, they then can literally at the age of 18, they can chain migrate, and they already are chain migrating. Indians are chain migrating Indians into this country, so much so that the Indians have taken over the entire independent motel chains, and they're starting to move into the bigger motel chains. Indians are taking those over, and they're getting to fund. These are people from India, folks. They're funding all of that with taxpayer dollars. And it's really ironic that we have all these unemployed African Americans in this country who can certainly take over motels and should have been funded to take those motels, but instead somebody in a power place in the administration of the last 4 or 5 administrations was able to get all this funding, I mean loans and total funding for these Indian immigrants, and what they do is they then chain migrate more of the Indian immigrants over here, then they get more loans, and then they pass off the motel and go to the next motel. And if you go across America today, you'll see that Indians have taken over the motel chains across America. And then you start looking at all of these births, and they get a birth certificate from China or India or any place, and then they can start chain migrating more. And if any of you are watching or reading my series, What America Will Look Like in 2050, that's just 37 years from now, with 100 million more immigrants in this country, you are seeing the complete, literally disintegration of the American way of life, Americans themselves, and to a giant polyglot society. Go to News with Views today. I've posted part number 13. And it's pretty sobering stuff. I mean, it's really sobering stuff as to what our children face.
Yeah, but you know something, Frosty? You've been there on the border, so have I. You've been writing about this for quite some time, and quite frankly, in my blog, so have I. And I have never seen, and maybe you can correct me on this if you wish, I have never seen a president or an administration so blatantly open face. I mean, they're not hiding anything. Break the law, break the Constitution, break our value system, and basically hire these lawyers that are all very, very liberal with one thought in mind, is to basically open our borders up and let anybody in and let them stay. This is a damnable situation against Obama, but nobody's got the backbone to stand up and spit in his eye.
Well, they don't. And again, I want to bring to everyone's attention, CAPSWEB.org, capsweb.org is one of the great organizations out there, along with Numbers USA and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. If you want this to stop, ladies and gentlemen, you can't do it alone. I can't do it alone, but you can collectively do it alone. And with my series, which may go down as one of the all-time most prophetic series ever written, there's nothing can come good of adding 100 million immigrants to the United States. We're already too full. We already have water shortages issues in 7 states. And to add another 20 cities, and again, this 100 million, folks, is another added 20 of our highest, top, most populated cities in America, from New York City all the way to Los Angeles and San Francisco and Chicago and everything in between. If you want that to happen, just keep sitting on your hands, because this president is out to break our borders down to a completely no sovereign nation. We will not continue as a sovereign nation. We are no longer a country. We are simply a destination for the world's destitute and poor. And remember this, the world adds 80 million destitute and poor people net gain every year. So there's no end to the line of people who desperately want to immigrate to America, to Canada, to Europe, and to Australia. And all these countries are Western countries who have had a birth rate of 2 children per family so that they could maintain a high standard of living and a high quality of life. But the rest of the world, being extremely irresponsible, has not done that, and they are literally not going to sit back and starve in their own countries. They're going to come to America, and here you have you have a government, you have a president who really is not an American himself. All of his family is in Kenya, for God's sakes. And he wouldn't mind bringing half of Africa over to this country and simply displace us from our own country. And trust me, that's what he's up to right now. He's literally breaking down our borders. And if we don't collectively stand up, again, through those 3 organizations that I have told you about every week, then we will become the victims of this mass immigration, both legal and illegal, Zeb.
This last week, I got into quite a conversation that almost turned into a fight with an individual that called me up and said, well, yeah, but we're all immigrants and we all have a right to come to this country. And I said, wait a minute. This great land of opportunity has absolutely been trashed and abused by that way of thinking, to the point where they're coming in illegally. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the jobs. We don't have the economy. And we've got to start thinking about us, the citizens in this country. This person I was talking to had the combined IQ of a set of football cleats, and quite frankly, that's the mindset of many of the liberals today.
Well, it is. As a matter of fact, I talked to Bob Dane, and he's at the FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, and he works with Dan Stein. And he just said last week he was in a taxi, and it was an Ethiopian, and the Ethiopian got over here, and he says, well, and he says, Dane disagreed with him on the conversation going from one place to the other. And he says, well, I'm from Ethiopia, and he says, this is a land of immigrants, and everybody has a chance to do anything they want. This kid didn't understand what it means to get into a boat that's already too overloaded so that the whole boat sinks.
Exactly.
You have to understand that these immigrants, again, have very low intellectual horsepower. They come from failed countries. Ethiopia is a failed country. Why do you think they are fleeing that country? They're fleeing the Congo. They're fleeing Egypt. They're fleeing Iraq. They're fleeing Iran. They're fleeing Pakistan. They're coming to the United States. They're fleeing the failure of their own civilizations to simply come over here and create the same failure in ours. And that's what most Americans don't realize yet. But I guarantee you, with the manifestation of another 100 million immigrants, we will sorely regret that we did not get involved and we sat here and listened to Zeb Bell and Frosty Woolridge but didn't do anything. And then our kids, your kids, all of our kids, even the immigrants' kids are going to suffer in this overstuffed, overwhelmed, overloaded country with another 100 million immigrants in the next 3 decades. And not only that, some guy wrote me just recently, he said, well, you're not relevant. Why don't you talk about the next 10 years? Well, I can tell you what, in the next 10 years, we'll have at least another 35 million more immigrants in this country, and the run-up to 100 million is not going to be pretty for anybody because the water shortages, the energy crisis, the devastation to the environment is going to grow worse, and then the quality of life. Our cities are going to be just seething with humanity. So this is not going to be pretty for anybody.
No, I agree with you. I'm totally on your page. But, you know, when you look at this administration, and I just sit back and look between the lines and look at the stories and listen to the stories and watch the stories of this administration, the lies that this man is told to get where he is today, the lies about his past, the lies about his politics, the lies about his ideology. And look simply at his Uncle Oscar. He stayed at Uncle Oscar's house while he was going to college. But then a couple years ago, he was asked about his uncle. He was asked about his uncle's DUI. He was asked if he ever had any correspondence with him, and Obama says, no, I haven't seen Uncle Oscar, haven't done anything with him. The man is a liar from the get-go, and the press lets this go.
Well, you know, we got slaughtered in the press nationally 5 years ago.
Yes, we did.
Bringing out the facts about Barack Obama. But I can say unequivocally right now that Barack Obama is a bald-faced liar.
Yeah, let me interrupt you there for a minute, Frosty. Frosty.
Again, he's a bald-faced liar, period, and he's leading our country with lies, and he will not follow the Constitution. That's all there is to it.
Let me just interject something there for both of you and I. We took, both of us, together a lot of heat on a program by the liberal Democrats that have the combined IQ of a bicycle spoke. They damned us, they called us racist and everything else because we questioned his ideology and we questioned a lot of things about this man, and everything that we had said at that time came to truth, came to fruition, and not one of these people that supposedly are the hierarchy of our area had the backbone or the spine to apologize, and that's why I look at them with disdain.
Well, and that's exactly correct. And again, we all get to be the victims of one of the most completely vacuous presidents, incompetent presidents that's been in office and God knows how long, but his legacy is going to be one of utter failure. It already is 5 years of utter failure, and it's going to continue. And we can only hope that we have some American citizen, I mean an American citizen, not some foreign citizen, but an American citizen, finally take our country forward after this guy is out of office. Because at some point, the journalists are going to be able to report on what Barack Obama, every lie he ever told, his actual birth certificate, the actual draft number, his actual Social Security number, and how his grandmother lied and gave it to him because she couldn't get a real one because he doesn't have a valid birth certificate. All this is going to come to the forefront and show that Barack Obama was the biggest scam artist that ever hit the presidency and the White House in the history of the United States of America.
You know, at this time of the year, of course, I celebrate Christmas, and that is it. I've only got about 3 minutes left here, but I celebrate Christmas. I'm proud to be a Christian. I'm proud to believe in the birth of Jesus Christ. I'm proud of my faith, and I'm proud that this is a federal holiday. And I've got buttons made up on behalf of my company, Zeb at the Ranch, that say it's okay to say Christmas to me, and that's the way things are going to be. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to waver. Merry Christmas, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Well, and that's what I say always. This country was based on Christianity. This country is great because of Christianity. This country has maintained itself because of its faith in God, and in God we trust, and that right triumphs. And while we've had our challenges through time, we have really become the most outstandingly balanced country that deals with and upholds the laws for the most part. And that hopefully in the end, we, the people of America, will stand up once again, stand up for the Constitution, elect those who represent the Constitution, because the Constitution is the bedrock of our civilization, our spiritual, our religious, our entire ethos is based on, again, what has brought us to this point. And hopefully we get back to that. I can't wait for the next 3 years to pass to get rid of this president, because he's such a poor example of what it is to be an American, and he's such a failure on so many levels. And so we're going to have to endure this, and we will, and our country will get back to and get back on track as the U.S. Constitution is our guide, and that's Merry Christmas the same way. I'm going to stand with you, Zach.
All right, you always have, and we might have differences of opinion on certain subjects, but we are friends to the end. My dear friend Frosty Woldridge, to you and your lovely bride, Merry Christmas, and I'll look forward to next Monday on the program.
Sounds great. Merry Christmas to you and all.
Take care, buddy. Thank you so much. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Hey, don't forget our friends at Cameron Siemens Insurance, Dean and Todd. Oh, my goodness, they're working so hard. I mean, double time, making sure that you're taken care of with all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits needs. All you have to do is call them, and just call up and ask simply, hey, listen, I don't know that much about this, that, or the other. Could you help me? Absolutely, they will help you. Dean and Todd, very accessible and devoted to serving you. 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really nice people. Hey, by the way, Merry Christmas wishes to us this morning from Pro Paint at 1116 Overland Avenue in Burley. Best paint, best stains, best advice. And don't forget, they've got gift certificates, too, available for Merry Christmas at Pro Paint at 1116 Overland in Burley. Along with Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 100 South of Burley, locally owned and operated, quality seed at competitive prices, wishing you a Merry Christmas. And Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and the new one at 22342 Kimberly Road, just a little bit north of Kimberly, right there on Kimberly Road. And they wish you Merry Christmas at Butte Irrigation. And Magic Valley Carpet. Hello, how are you folks doing at 613 D Street in Rupert? And they say God's blessings to you through the Christmas season from Magic Valley Carpet. Really nice people. You know what? About a week ago, I got this idea. I was sitting watching the news at night, and I love Christmas music. I love Christmas carols. And I said to my wife, you know what? We're going to just have once a day on our show leading up to Christmas, a Christmas carol sponsored by some of our great friends at Pickett Equipment. 976. I want to get the address right because they'll shoot me if I don't. 976 East Main in Burley. Pickett Equipment Company, known the family for a long time. Steve and the whole crew wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. And don't don't forget, they've got the most innovative equipment anywhere, anytime, absolutely. From the Twin Master edible bean combines, the Double Master Plus side pull combines, they've got it all, to the one-step rod cutter. Give Steve and the crew at Pickett Equipment Company a call at 678-0855, or go to their website at PickettEquipment.com. Here now, our Christmas Carol of the Day, brought to you by Pickett Equipment Company. I love it. Merry, Merry Christmas. And our thanks to Steve and the crew at Pickett Equipment Company in Burley for bringing you the daily Christmas Carol right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Hey, don't forget this Thursday, oh, what a ripping good time we're going to have over at Valley White Home and Ranch Cowboy Christmas Remote. It's going to be from 8 to 11 this coming Thursday. I mean, this week. Don't forget, register for free clothing for men's and women and free cinnamon rolls the first hour from 8 to 9 from Sophie's Chatterbox. And, oh, my goodness, they're going to have discounts in the store on the clothing and the boots. Oh, my goodness, and Ken Mort is going to have his sound system there singing Merry Christmas carols. It's going to be fantabulous. Cowboy Christmas Remote at Valley White Home and Ranch this Thursday. Please come on by and say Merry Christmas. In just a moment, we're going to have our great friends with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and I'm going to have them on the air momentarily. I want to also remind you about all the good furniture, all the comfortable furniture, all the carpeting, everything for the beautification and the comfort of your home from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, all the bedroom sets, all the recliners, and they have got the largest selection of recliners, I think, of anybody in the Northwest. You got to go in and try one on, whether you're short, tall, fat, skinny, doesn't make any difference. You'll find one that fits you, and you're going to be comfy. Absolutely, they got all the bunk beds and the area rugs, everything for your comfort, and great Christmas gift-giving ideas at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Time now for the Alliance Defending Freedom, and we have with us a really nice gentleman, one of the legal counsels that I have a lot of respect for, Mike Norton. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. It's an honor to be with you. We certainly appreciate all you do for the cause of Christ.
Well, thank you. And by the way, first and foremost, Merry Christmas to you, my dear friend.
Oh, my goodness. Merry Christmas to you. Isn't it a joy to be able to say Merry Christmas in our society?
I will not say anything else. As a matter of fact, Mike, I have just recently had a great company in the local area make some pins for me that says, on behalf of my radio show, Zeb at the Ranch, it's okay to say Christmas to me. And we're selling those pins, and all the money's going to go to...
Merry Christmas.
Well, we're going to sell those and have all the proceeds go to our needy families in the area. Mike, what's going on with another lawsuit that Obama's ongoing attack of religious freedom with businesses? Tell us more about what's happening.
Well, this is a new lawsuit on behalf of a religious nonprofit organization called Fellowship of Catholic University Students that we just filed last week, actually in the United States District Court for the District of Colorado. You know, there are over 80 lawsuits that have been filed for relief from the so-called Obama abortion pill mandate, which, according to Obamacare, requires businesses, both secular for-profit and religious non-profit businesses, to insure and provide insurance coverage to employees at no cost of abortion-inducing drugs, devices, pills, and to provide education and counseling for those services as well. And it includes, of course, contraception. And our friends with Fellowship of Catholic University students, Focus as they are known, are a really quintessential religious nonprofit. They follow the tenets of the Catholic faith. They have, which faith, by the way, for over 2,000 years has supported life over death and life over abortion and life over any kind of abortion-inducing drugs or contraceptive devices. And they are not exempt from this mandate, believe it or not. That is all they do is move and help people with the Catholic faith on college campuses around the country. They're on 83 college campuses, and they are not exempt from this mandate. There are a narrow group of people that are exempt, and actually everyone ought to be exempt that has a matter of an issue with the mandate over their faith. Because the government can find Christian ministries out of existence, and that's exactly what would be done to focus with this mandate, over $25 million a year in fines. Just because they want to uphold their faith, there is no limit to what the government can do to our other precious liberties in this nation.
Mike, I'm sitting here and I listen to you when you're on the program, and I try to really soak in all the information that you provide along with the other legal counsels with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And I've come to the conclusion that this administration, this Obama administration, with their ideology, is almost like a cancerous amoebic cell trying to envelop all that we do and basically control everything we do. Would you agree with that statement or not?
Well, I certainly agree that as to religious liberties and religious freedoms, the Obama administration wants no one to worship outside of the four walls of their church or their home. They call that freedom of worship, whereas the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and many state constitutions also provide for freedom of exercise of religion, which means you can take your faith outside of your home and into the public square or marketplace. The Obama administration thinks that's not a good idea for free, religious, faith-based Americans in this nation.
Mike, with your expertise and studying this case about the Colorado-based Fellowship of Catholic University Students and what they're asking for, and other cases that you're aware of, just how bad, honestly, and I know this is kind of looking into a crystal ball, but just how bad within the scope of the next 3 years of Obama's administration do you think things are going to be or become?
Well, in the stroke of an eyelash, God can change anything that He wants to change. But we are definitely faced with persecution for people of faith for the next period of time. The good news is that these issues that are confronting Focus, Fellowship of Catholic University students, and other people of faith in the operation of either their businesses or in their non-religious nonprofits are going to be heard by the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, in March of 2014. Alliance Defending Freedom has a case that is now scheduled for hearing before the Supreme Court. Conestoga is the name of the case out of the Third Circuit or Pennsylvania, and it will be heard jointly with our friends from Hobby Lobby, who have a similar kind of issue and problem that they don't want to provide health insurance as a company of faith. They're closed on Sundays in honor of the Sabbath. As a matter of fact, and they don't want to provide this kind of abortion-inducing drug as part of their insurance. So the Supreme Court is going to be hearing this, at least as to secular for-profit businesses, in March, and I expect, we honestly do believe that we will be successful, but we're certainly praying for that, and that's something also your listeners can pray for as well. So I think as to this issue, sometime in the next 6 months or so, we will at least be heard, at least have a decision, and we are very prayerfully hopeful that it will be a positive decision that upholds the right of people of faith to not have to provide insurance of abortions, contraception, and other kinds of education.
Mike, once this one-size-fits-all for government doctrine to supersede anybody's beliefs or their religious activities, once this one-size-fits-all doctrine from Obama has taken kind of a root, it's going to be pretty hard to change society, isn't it? Even if he's gone in 3 years?
It will be difficult, Zeb. I agree with that, but I think that there is always hope for the future, and quite honestly, with organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom and many allies that work alongside of us and we alongside of them, there is definitely hope for positive results. I think we are winning the battle, for example, on the life issue. The majority of Americans are now pro-life or would view themselves as pro-life. This is a remarkable change since 1973 when Roe v. Wade was wrongfully decided by the United States Supreme Court, and the concept of abortion on demand at any stage of a woman's pregnancy was imposed upon every state in this country. 40 states had laws prohibiting or limiting abortion in their states, and the Supreme Court just by a stroke of a pen politically overturned that. It was a very wrong and bad decision. But since that period of time, people have been fighting and protesting and picketing and bringing lawsuits and praying and going into the public square to show, to demonstrate their support for the idea that God created life. It begins at conception. Every life is intrinsically valuable and worth protecting, and we need to do all we can to turn this decision around. So today we are looking at a at a plurality, actually a majority, a substantial majority of people who are in favor of the idea that life begins at conception. We are having similar struggles in First Amendment religious liberties areas as well as in the marriage and family areas. As you well know, you cover those very well. And we just think we have to keep on keeping on. This battle is very well worth fighting. The founders in this nation had it right when they protected the rights of individuals to freely worship their God and their faith, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, whatever you want to call it. And we do need to return and work hard to return to that free state that we were once in.
Absolutely. Mike, if I don't get a chance to talk to you prior to Christmas week, I want to extend to you, Senior Counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom, and everyone else that works there, Merry, Merry Christmas, and thank you for all you do. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, and the same to you, Zeb. We're very grateful for you, and we thank you very much for talking to us at Alliance Defending Freedom. People can keep track of us by going on to our website, alliancedefendingfreedom.org. Lots of prayers are needed, especially during this period of the season. This is a highly intense both spiritual battle as well as legal battle that we're engaged in. So all the prayers and all the support of all the people that listen to your program are very grateful. We thank you so much for all you do, Zeb, and God bless and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Mike Norton, Senior Counsel with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and a very nice gentleman. Thank you. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, the Alliance Defending Freedom doing so much, and I look forward, literally, every Monday to having them on the program and talking about the different cases that they're out there trying to defend across the country. And I'll give you another example. There is this story, it gets me so upset and so frustrated when I read this when it came across the wire service the other day from a couple of other attorneys that I've had on my program many times, Jeremy Tedesco and Kevin Terrio. There's an atheist group seeking to deny poor children Christmas gifts. They want to stop the giving of gifts to poor children in one respective area. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. It just makes you so mad that people can be so absolutely oblivious to really the truth and what's happening around the world, okay? So stand by for that. But first and foremost, I want to remind you about Let's Ride. You better believe it, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and believe me, they've got all the Christmas gift-giving ideas over there. For those who ride snowmobiles, motorcycles, or four-wheelers, they've got all the great accessories. What an accessory department. And don't forget, they've got brand new 2014 snowmobiles. Yes, they do. And they've got a wonderful parts and service department. Those guys are the best in the valley, and they can figure out all the problems and get them fixed. What more could you be looking for? Let's Ride. They're closed today on Mondays, but open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 6. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Absolutely. Listen to this story. And I'm going to take a little time on this, and I want Gina to get involved in this also. East Point Academy has been getting free legal assistance after an atheist group threatened to file a lawsuit against this school, East Point Academy, for doing nothing more than this: including a community service project sponsored by a religious organization as one of the many programs its students may voluntarily participate in. So what was the East Point Academy School doing? They were gathering up Christmas presents for poor children. And the American Humanist Association said that it's incorrect that neutrality towards religion requires schools to discriminate against beneficial programs simply because they are run by Christians. And so this American Humanist Association said they've got to stop giving toys to poor kids.
Heartless.
How could anybody stoop that low?
They have no heart. They have no heart.
I mean, I look at little kids and this time of the year, Christmas. And a lot of families are really suffering to try to figure out not only what they can do to maybe have a Christmas, but to keep bread and food on the table.
Yep.
And then here you have students at an East Point Academy in West Columbia, South Carolina. And they want to, as part of their class work, they want to provide toys to poor children in the area. And this so-called American Humanist Association says, got to have a separation of church and state, can't do that or we'll sue.
It's volunteer. They're not paying for it. It's volunteer. Where's the ADF on this one?
Well, believe me, they're in the thick of it. And as I mentioned, Jeremy Tedesco and Kevin Terrio are two of the lawyers that are involved in it, and hopefully I'm going to get them on the program next week to talk about this. As a matter of fact, Kevin Terrio, that's been on my program many, many times, said, quote, "It's shameful for groups like the American Humanist Association to attack charity events that provide impoverished children with Christmas gifts that they wouldn't otherwise receive."
These are kids. Kids don't understand all of this stuff. They understand the spirit of Christmas. They don't understand atheism.
But the spirit of Christmas is giving. The spirit of Christmas is sharing. The spirit of Christmas is love. The spirit of Christmas is providing for others. And I'm not trying to make myself out like John Wayne good guy, but we try to do a lot if we can in the community to help others that are less fortunate.
Yep, and the whole point of Christmas for me is being able to help out and to give to others who maybe cannot give to themselves.
Absolutely.
And so that is the spirit of Christmas. And so these kids, these precious little hearts, are out there volunteering their own time and their parents' time so they can provide something to those that otherwise might not have anything, a.k.a. little kids.
There you go.
So for these atheists, I'm sorry, you have no heart. Back off.
You don't want to believe? Fine. Go sit in the corner and watch the world slip by with no faith in anything. That's fine. But leave the rest of us alone. And I know we got a caller waiting.
Yes, we do.
But the Alliance Defending Freedom said this very succinctly. There is nothing illegal about a public school providing students an opportunity to put together a box of gifts for impoverished children throughout the world just because the toy drive is sponsored by a religious organization. What have we become? This is absolutely sickening to me.
We've become a nation without heart.
I
know.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, I just couldn't stand it any longer. I had to call. That is an indication, all of this is an indication that our schools are not teaching our history either. Because who are those people who are trying to keep other people from being charitable about poor kids? Who gave them this permission? Are they rich and are they just selfish, or are they just so heartless that they really need to be in a big hole in the ground and let us just throw stuff at them?
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris. What is Christmas? Is it a federal holiday or not?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then what is the group, the NEA, Arnie Duncan, and everybody else with the federal government trying to come in and conform education with Common Core? Isn't that a part of the federal government also?
Well, I'd rather it wasn't. I think it should just be a local.
Well, I agree with you, but my point is this. Yeah. It's a federal holiday, and if somebody in a school wants to have the worshiping of Christmas and the real meaning of Christmas, or just putting together a toy campaign for children that are underprivileged, how dare they make a separation there? It can be a federal holiday, and the government can come in and tell you how to do Common Core, but we're going to divide it in the middle because of kids trying to get toys for poor kids. It's so stupid that everybody should throw these bums right out the window.
Well, yes, and the sad thing is, if it hadn't been for Christianity and the reason that the United States was basically formed is that we felt that freedom of religion was one of the most important things in the human race. And so the people who helped to found this country felt like we could not even be a good society without having freedom of religion. Or, I guess, on the other hand, those who chose to be free from religion. But nobody is forcing it down their throats.
Absolutely.
Isn't it interesting, though, that how many companies, how many stores in the United States count on their Christmas sales to balance their books?
Absolutely. But here are
So
kids.
let's take that out of the
Absolutely.
equation.
But here's something I want to point out as a quick point, and I've got other calls waiting, and I got to get the weather in. But we're so quick to criticize the younger generation for their baggy pants and their earrings and their tattoos and everything. But now here is a story about students in a school that wanted to put together their time, their efforts, and quite frankly, their own money to make sure that poor children could benefit by celebrating a Christmas with a toy, and they're damned for it. What kind of a stupid, silly society are we running?
Well, I don't know, but those who are against it are afraid that the word might get around that, you know what, Christmas is a time for forgetting your anger, for forgetting your hatred, helping the guy across the aisle. We're all friends and we're created equal. Isn't that amazing?
I'm so frustrated by people attacking Christianity, people attacking people for trying to do something good. Oh, you're a Christian, you can't do that. You know something, Chris? Anytime I get a chance on this program, I'm going to defy these individuals and back them into corners where they belong and just absolutely threaten their existence because their idiocy against humanity is overwhelming.
Well, and I think we need to remind most people, particularly the ones that have forgotten their history, one of the reasons that the United States has been such a successful nation is because of the work ethic that comes from being an honest Christian.
Absolutely. Chris, I always look forward to having you call. God bless you and thank you for your call.
Well, thank you for being my friend.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
I'm so mad about this story, it's just got me shaking right now. Kids, young kids at East Point Academy trying to help other kids. And they're condemned for it by the American Humanist Association. Oh, please! I better get the weather in here real quick. Magic Valley Chalet and the Upper Crust sponsoring our Weather with Michael Rogers weather this hour at 1367th Street in Heyburn. Oh, they've got all kinds of goodie baskets. You can customize your basket or buy one already made, and they can deliver the basket within reason locally for $5, and they use UPS, too, to deliver anywhere. And they've got delicious ice cream for Christmas and the holidays of Christmas. They've got eggnog chocolate, eggnog peppermint, chocolate chip. They've got it all for you at, of course, Magic Valley Chalet and the Upper Crust. The menu at the Upper Crust is outstanding. You're going to love it. And all the cheese and everything downstairs at the Magic Valley Chalet, you've got to get in there and enjoy it. Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Heyburn. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. I'm going to make this real simple for you. You're not going to see 40 until Saturday. That's what's happening right now. 11 above for the high, 21 for the high tomorrow, 28 for the high on Wednesday. You will slowly warm up, but you won't see 40 until Saturday. Stay warm, put a sweater on, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
I love Michael Rogers' weather, short and to the point. Brought to you this hour by the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust Restaurant, 1367th Street in Heyburn. Really a great place to go eat. Give me your calls on this, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, another quick note for you. As I predicted to you 3 weeks ago, before we went on one of the broadcasts in the morning, I told you that I thought Coach Chris Peterson would be leaving Boise State, and he is. He's gone.
Yep. He's gone to the University of Washington.
Yep. I'm surprised at his choice.
Why?
Well, I am. I had people from around the country honestly tell me that they thought that he would take possibly the job that might open up at the University of Texas with Mac Brown possibly retiring.
You know, I think this is my opinion. I think the University of Washington is a good move for him. It keeps him in the Pacific Northwest, I think, which is honestly where he wants to be. And it's a great program. It needs a little bit of building. But and I do have ties to the University of Washington, so I think it's a good move, and I'm happy for that.
Oh, I'm not condemning the move. I'm not condemning the move at all. Please don't misunderstand me. But honestly, if I were to go to Vegas and put odds on it, I would have thought that Chris Peterson would have been first and foremost for the USC, University of Southern California job, and secondarily, possibly if Mac Brown decides to retire and the school doesn't come together on another contract, the University of Texas. So I was a little bit surprised about Washington.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy about the move. You've got a caller.
All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. In 1962 and 63, when the Supreme Court, Earl Warren's Supreme Court, the same one that did the Kennedy-Warren Commission report, they ruled that prayer and Bible reading was to come out of schools and public institutions. And believe me, that was, if you look at wallbuilders.com, you can look at the statistics that David Barton has put together. And that was a monumental turning point in the moral culture of this country. It's been downhill ever since.
I agree. You know, Adrian, really, I'm short on time here. I got to go to the news, but I do want you to respond. I mean, here we're complaining about our kids today in society with possibly not having much family background and hanging out with their friends and doing heinous crimes and everything else. But yet here are some good people, young people at an East Point Academy in West Columbia, South Carolina, that want to take their time, effort, and money and help other kids, and yet they're discriminated and damned against. I find that repulsive.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I mean, these people really show their true colors, and you got the ACLU fighting against Christian institutions, and it just up and down the board, and they were founded by communists. So religion is the opiate of the people, I think was Lenin said. And so we have to realize that's what our government's now promoting is socialism, communism. So that's where we're headed, folks, unless we turn it around.
I agree. Thank you so much, Adrian. God's blessings to you. Merry Christmas.
Hey, thanks a lot. You too.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, don't forget on Thursdays, and this Thursday we will not have the school day segment in Cassia County because we're going to have that remote over at Valley White Home and Ranch. But we want to say thank you to the two sponsors of school days in Cassia County, and that's A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, they've got all kinds of great shopping right there at A Child's World. Don't forget, too, that they've got all the puzzles, the books, the arts, toys, games, all the ladies' dresses, everything, the Cherokee and Dickey scrubs. It's all there. It's all there. Shop locally and save at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And the other sponsor of our segment is Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, 677-8888. Colon cancer can be deadly. Go get a colonoscopy by a board-certified doctor with years of experience performing colonoscopies at the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, along with A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. In just a few minutes, we're going to go to the news from ABC, and then coming up next hour, we've got Americans for Prosperity, Casey Givens, and then former Congressman from New York, John LeBoutelier, who is on Fox News once a week talking about all the different things that are happening politically. So don't go away. We've got a lot of things to go. And Merry Christmas to you and your family from Zeb at the Ranch. We'll be back in 6. Wow. I just love Christmas music. I love this time of the year. I love the beauty and the real reason for the season, and thank you. And Gina doing a wonderful job over at our studios. Thank you so much. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, getting rid of your garbage. Call them, get on the route service today, 734-6969. Oh, by the way, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Ooh, what a great place to go eat. 139 West Main in Burley, and they've got luncheon specials Monday through Friday for just $5.95. Best best deal in town. And also senior citizen dinner specials for Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95. And the special today is chicken cordon bleu with mashed potatoes, veggies, and super salad. Going to be good, always is, at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, and real quick, too, I want to remind you there's that great big Santa party coming up this next Saturday, the 14th, at Four Paws Bed and Bath. Free pictures with Santa for your pets. You know, put your Doberman on your lap with Santa Claus. He's going to love it. And refreshments and discounts and drawings and all kinds of gift cards available. Oh, Kathy and the rest of the crew. Really, really nice folks. And bring in a donation of pet food for and enter to win their giveaway basket. All of this and more at 370 West 200 South of Rupert, 438-4444, Four Paws Bed and Bath. Really nice people. Well, let's go to the phone lines right now and visit with a gentleman with the Americans for Prosperity, Casey Given. Good morning, Casey. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Great to be here with you.
Well, it's good to have you back on the program. Listen, Casey, I guess an obviously dumb maybe question, I don't know, but if these fast food workers that are standing in front of television cameras and demanding $15 an hour are not members of a union and they work for a Wendy's or a McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever, why isn't the boss just walking outside and handing everybody that's holding one of those placards a pink slip and say, sayonara, don't let the door hit you in the posterior as you're being fired and leave? Why don't they get rid of all of them and hire somebody else?
Absolutely. Managers have the freedom to do so. Bizarrely, it doesn't seem like much of them have done so over the past week, last Thursday's strike, probably because it was such a mass move across the country. But you bring up an interesting point, Zeb, that last week's strike was actually not organized technically by a union, but rather by a network of nonprofit groups across the country that unions are giving millions of dollars to organize these strikes. They're essentially labor front groups, and they really threaten to harm workers and ultimately unions' interests by demanding these unreasonable demands like a $15 minimum wage that could lead to massive unemployment.
You know, Mike, pardon me, I didn't mean to say that. That was my guest last hour. I'd like to mention that, my phone's going off. We've got all kinds of things happening right here. Casey, on this case, in this story, when you look at $15 an hour is what they're using on their placards for demanding of minimum wage, nobody in their right mind, I hope, can assume or ascertain that burger flippers are worth that kind of money. And look what it would do to inflation. It would turn our already very shaky economy upside down and possibly push it right over the cliff.
Absolutely. Considering that the federal floor for the minimum wage is currently $7.25, this $15 minimum wage would more than double many fast foods' costs for laborers. And ultimately, this could mean mass layoffs for the people most in need for low-skilled workers at fast food workers. We already see in Europe, for example, that at most fast food restaurants, people punch in their orders through computers. There's also already machines that can make hamburgers themselves. So this could ultimately backfire on workers by incentivizing businesses to, instead of invest in low-skilled workers to take orders and create jobs, to instead bring about kind of a new age of automation where there's less fast food workers in these establishments and more machines.
Casey, whatever happened to entry-level jobs? Whatever happened to kids being introduced into the workforce? Whatever happened to, hey, work your best and work your way up the ladder? Whatever happened to, maybe I'll go to school and I'll study hard to be a rocket scientist, and thanks to the burger flipping job, but I want to become something at NASA? What happened to goals and aspirations for bigger and better things? These jobs are not living wage, family-raising family jobs.
Absolutely. And, you bring up a great point that if you actually look at the numbers, most people who make minimum wage do not make that wage for a very long time. Most people, according to one study by the Bureau of Economic Analysis, a government agency, found that most people making minimum wage are teenagers, are new immigrants to America who eventually work their way up the ladder. And that's really what the beauty of the market, and that that such a wage is a signal, is an incentive for someone to make more, to work their way up and invest in their skills. So this really, as you mentioned, is not just an affront to economics, and it's an affront to incentives for people to work their way up, to make a better living, to invest in the American dream.
Casey, I'm not a math student. I was very poor. Mr. Lansing threw me out of algebra and all this kind of stuff in high school. But, let's just take the $15 an hour, and I'm going to do this in my head real quick. Let's see, $15 an hour times an 8-hour day. What is that? It's $120 a day times 5 days. You're looking at what? Rounded off, $2,400 a month? $2,400 a month. And you take what out here in Idaho is the basic level wage. That puts a part-time job like flipping burgers or a low entry-level job like flipping burgers at $2,400 a month. That's almost what full-time laborers get out here for having years of experience. I'm offended that they would do something like this because it's going to cause a lot of inflation. It's going to cause a more unemployed situation to where we might be looking at 15 to 20% unemployment. How can these people be this dumb?
Exactly. Like you mentioned, Zeb, it runs against basic economics. The government cannot artificially impose a $15 wage without there being serious economic consequences on unemployment. This new $15 minimum wage will ultimately end up hurting the very people that are fighting for it, low-skilled workers.
You wrote a very interesting story, and I've got it here in front of me. Today's fast food strike reveals big labor's decline and desperation. So what do you think is going to happen, Casey? I mean, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to absolutely desecrate and diminish the value of the workforce here in America? What is their major goal?
Well, I think the fast food strike really has a more interesting fundamental trend if you look at the course of history. So private sector union membership is at a historic low. Only 6% of American workers in the private sector are unionized today, the lowest it's ever been throughout American history. So what we've seen through these fast food strikes, and it's not just fast food. I'm sure many of your listeners will remember during Black Friday, there was a lot of Walmart strikes across the country where thousands of workers walked out of Walmart. Unions, through these front groups, these nonprofits, are trying to reach out and get new members, get new people to fill, the union bosses' wallets with new memberships by trying to unionize these new labor sectors, these personal service labor sectors, like fast food restaurants, like Walmart's, that traditionally have not been unionized. And such an effort, unfortunately, for workers, and ironically against the self-interest of unions themselves, could backfire by leading to higher unemployment.
I talked to some Walmart employees after this debacle that happened a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not going to mention any names. Everything is going to remain absolutely confidential, but I didn't feel the dissension. I didn't feel the hatred. I didn't feel that they were being used. Where is all this stemming from? Who's trying to create this problem? Who really are the people that are at the nuts and bolts of this situation?
Exactly. In fact, I thought Walmart did a pretty great PR campaign during the Black Friday thing. They released statistics about what percentage of their workers are making minimum wage, and it's a very low percentage. I believe it's only about, I can't remember the number offhand, but about 1/3 or less. These companies, these big box retailers, have an incentive to invest in their workers, to give them good benefits and whatnot, to get the best customer service, the best service to customers. And ultimately, these new by trying to unionize these people, by trying to could ultimately backfire on the benefits and employment that many Walmart workers enjoy.
I'm from the old school. Of course, I'm an old man now, Casey, but I absolutely believe that if I want to hire somebody, I'll set the wage. If they don't do a job, I will bring them into my office, and I will reprimand them, and I will say they will not be subject to any raise increases because of poor service to the company. And possibly after the second warning, their butt's going to get kicked right out the door. I honestly think that labor and people involved in small business should have control.
Absolutely. And we've seen this. I mean, a great counterexample to American labor law is what we see in Europe. Europe has all of these unsustainable contracts, all of these high regulations, heavy regulations that unions are advocating, and they have historically high unemployment. In France, for people under 25, the unemployment rate is a whopping 25%. So this high unemployment could really come to the United States if we keep giving in to these union demands for unsustainable and unreasonable regulations that really put workers at a disadvantage. And at the very end of the day, this is going to hurt the people that unions claim to be advocating. This is going to hurt low-skilled workers that need the most job opportunities.
You know, Casey, you don't have to come out and agree with me on this because I don't want to jeopardize your reputation, but I will say this, in all honesty, of all the millions of people that have given up trying to find a job in a very low level of employment right now, thanks to Obama and his policies, and yet they come out last week with a 7% unemployment rate, I'm just going to tell you straight up, I think that's a lie. I think it's totally ridiculous. I think that if you look at the people that have given up on trying to find work and everything else, you're actually going to find the unemployment levels at 11 or 12% minimum. I think this government has cooked the books like they have on a lot of other things.
Absolutely. You bring up some great points in that actually this unemployment rate could be looked at very differently as even worse because there is a historic amount of discouraged workers, of people who have simply given up looking for work because they can't find any jobs. And the statistics by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which creates the unemployment rate, does not give them into consideration. Also, you have to consider part-time workers, which many businesses are hiring largely or almost entirely part-time workers because of new Obamacare regulations. So those numbers are also included in the employment statistics. So certainly 7% of Americans could be unemployed, but a large part of the people who are employed could be part-time.
Absolutely.
And a large part of the people who are not counted in any of these are discouraged workers who can't find a job in Obama's economy.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Keep it brief. Go ahead, please.
Yes, in North Dakota, these burger flippers are getting paid anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour, and it's all because of an economy of capitalism and freedom. And it's so amazing to me that this example sits there in front of people, but they choose to ignore it because for whatever the reason. But if you really want to get paid that, then you can go up there and work. The system will work if you let it work. I'll hang up. Thanks.
Go ahead and respond to that, would you, Casey?
Absolutely. That is a great example. And a large part of this in North Dakota, why so many fast food workers, they are desperate for fast food workers, and they are getting paid $15, $20 an hour, is because of hydraulic fracturing. Because of fracking, the great state of North Dakota has decided not to impose any regulations on fracking that many progressives like the Obama administration and the EPA are trying to impose on states, but rather let the market take its place and rather let natural processes go in force. As a result, North Dakota is experiencing an oil boom. They have the lowest unemployment rate in the country, and they are paying low-skilled workers like burger flippers an incredible wage. And more states can see this if instead of giving in to government regulations, instead of giving in to these big unions' demands, big labor's demands, that let the free market take its course and provide prosperity for all.
You know, I'm going to say this, Casey, and maybe you'll find this inappropriate to bring into this part of the discussion, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm concerned. I'm worried, and I'm a little bit frightened that once you let these people have the protests and the yelling and screaming that they demand $15 an hour, minimum wage, etc., and then if some are fired, and rightfully so, somebody, somewhere across the United States is going to take it out on the consumer, possibly with something in the food. Is that a worry to you also?
That could definitely, it's definitely a possibility. We've seen that in the past where disgruntled workers, I remember the whole Wendy's debacle a few years ago where a disgruntled worker put a severed finger in someone's chili.
Yes.
It could definitely happen.
Now, I had an experience last summer, and I'm going to share this with you real quick. We stopped I'm in the rodeo business also, Casey, and I travel all over the United States, and my wife was with me last year, and we stopped in a Nevada town to have a burger real quick late at night as we were traveling through, and inside the staff of this particular burger place were throwing food at each other and just throwing paper bags and everything. It was just absolute utter chaos because of not management overseeing, and they are going to get $15 an hour? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. And regardless of if this will actually lead to any kind of tension in the workplace, nonetheless, this $15 an hour will be passed on to consumers through higher prices as well. I've been talking mostly about unemployment for workers, but this has a very real effect on every American as far as spiking the prices of the goods and services that we take for granted.
Last question. Are we turning into, with this administration, a society of just part-time labor? That's my biggest fear, that there's no goals, there's no incentive, there's no reach for the stars attitude for these kids. Too many of them are told they have to go to college when in essence they should be learning how to be plumbers and welders. Are we turning into a part-time society?
Absolutely, and I'll give you two numbers to prove that. Over in 2013 so far, there have been roughly 1 million new private sector jobs created, 75% of which have been part-time jobs. And this is largely driven by Obamacare regulations. Obamacare requires every business with over 50 employees to provide their employees health insurance by 2015. And as a result, many businesses are moving their workers to part-time to avoid this hefty new regulations that will cost them thousands or millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
So a large part of this part-time boom is largely because of Obamacare and the regulations that are creating these unintended consequences and hurting American workers really badly. All
right, we've got just enough time for one more call. Good morning, caller. Quickly, real fast.
Hey, Seb. When I was 15 and a half years old, I got my first job washing dishes. It was brutal. It was at a busy place. I was busy as heck. I didn't like it, so I decided, almost quit, but I decided I'm going to work extra hard and get out of this dish room and be a cook. Well, I did that and got promoted. A year and a half later, I was the manager of the kitchen. So I got paid more money. Mm-hmm. That's how you make more money.
Absolutely.
Is by working hard and taking responsibility for your own actions and getting rewarded for it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call. Casey, respond to that, please, quickly.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great story. In fact, my first job, believe it or not, was actually in the state of Idaho. My family owns a cabin up in Island Park, Idaho. So I had worked at McDonald's just outside of Rexburg, Idaho, and again, it was a similar thing. Worked a minimum wage job, and it really taught me the value of hard work and what it means to be a diligent worker. So I think that these minimum wage jobs are a great signal, are a great signal for people to learn to invest in their skills. So I think the caller story is great.
Last question, short answer. I'm out of time. Do you think, Casey, that this $10 to $15 range is going to be pushed by Obama, or can it be defeated?
Yes, absolutely. The Obama administration is undergoing a major push for a $10 minimum wage currently. It's expected to be introduced probably in the new year. It can definitely be defeated, especially with a Republican House of Representatives. So long as the party stays in line and stays up on the economic facts of the minimum wage, and Americans like your listener pressure their elected official to do what's best for employment, for American jobs by urging their elected officials to vote against a minimum wage hike, then definitely it could be defeated.
All right. Americans for Prosperity, Casey Givens. Casey, you're welcome here anytime. Great interview. Merry Christmas, and God bless you, and I'll look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much, Zeb.
All right, sir. Take care. Thank you much. Very interesting man, Casey Given with Americans for Prosperity, and wrote a very good article called Today's Fast Food Strike Reveals Big Labor's Decline and Desperation. And very well done. Casey, thank you very much. We got to pay some bills here real quick, and wishing you Merry Christmas are some great folks, including the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce office at 1177 7th Street in Hayburn, and they've got a great Christmas gift shop right inside the Chamber of Commerce. That's right. All your Christmas gifts right there, mostly made in Idaho at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. And let's not forget, too, Redder's Showcase at 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley with all the Stanton furniture and the Whirlpool and the Maytag and the Amana appliances. They say, come on in, save big, get 12 months, same as cash on approved credit at Redder's Showcase. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Along with gift certificates and garden gifts are absolutely the perfect gift for the outdoor person on your Christmas list. Call Vicki at Vicky's Country Garden, and your Christmas list will be complete. 438-5663. 438-5663. Give her a call and get those gift certificates for your people on the Christmas list that love to get their hands dirty in the garden. And for all your Christmas needs, don't forget to stop into the Book Plaza and visit with my dear friend Colonel Dale. 3 floors of books, and I mean that, over 200,000 books? Whoo! And gifts and arts and crafts and music, everything you can think of at the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. And all of those great folks wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. We are going to take a little break here and send it back over to our main studio, and then we'll be back with former U.S. Congressman from New York, John LeBoutelier. John's been on our program before, and this morning we're going to be talking about John Kerry and the Iranian deal and how what happened over there really scares him and a lot of others. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Last half hour, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. It's cold out there this morning. Be careful. Barry Equipment Company and Rental at Twin Falls location, 465 Addison Avenue West, and in Burley, the new location. I love this place. 159 West Highway 30. Don't forget, they're doing a little house cleaning at Barry Equipment and Rental, and this week they've got another special, a 2012 Bobcat skid steer. That's hard to say, Bobcat skid steer. There you go. Has 1,000 hours on it, and believe me, this is an S185, has an open cab, and is the most cost-effective machine that they have, and they're only asking $25,400 for it, $25,400. You better check it out. It is a super special. If you need a Bobcat skid steer, you better check this out today at Barry Equipment and Rental. Call Nick or Eli. Eli's number 732-7368 or Nick at 678-7368. Barry Equipment and Rental in Twin Falls and Burley. Some really good folks. Speaking about good folks, we've got a gentleman that's been on our program about 3 or 4 times in the past, and I always look forward to having him on the program with me for his very honest approach to what's going on in politics. And this is former United States House of Representatives member John LeBoutelier from New York. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning to you, Zeb. I'm doing great. How's everything out in beautiful Idaho?
Well, it's cold, John. Right now, I think the temperature, I got to check my little machine here. I think we're not any better than like 4 or 5 degrees right now. What's it back in New York this morning?
mid-30s. Snowed last night, rained today, and we're getting 3 to 6 inches of snow tomorrow where I live out on Long Island, so I hear.
Well, you're over on Long Island.
Beginning of winter, you know.
It is. You're on Long Island with Mr. O'Reilly. Have you ever had a chance to have your paths cross?
Well, I haven't met him out on Long Island. I was on a show once about 10 years ago. But I'm not, I got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of his.
You don't have to
He
apologize.
treats people badly. He's kind of a jerk, actually.
You know, it's interesting to hear the comments from people away from Fox News and some that even worked for Fox News without going on record. But Bill O'Reilly is one of the biggest bloviator, and in many cases I have caught him not knowing about certain circumstances or certain stories and just tries to bloviate or bull his way through it. Quite frankly, I'm much more impressed with people like Megyn Kelly and also Sean Hannity and others, and Greta Van Susteren, in my opinion, is doing a very good job of doing the newscast and looking into what's really causing the news. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree. By the way, here's the thing. The people you and I like are conservatives. Bill O'Reilly, by his own admission, is not a conservative. He's an independent. And the problem with guys like him is, on some issues, they're with us, but not all the issues. Some issues are over with the liberals, and I can't handle it. That's not my real problem with him. My real problem is he treats people terribly. He's really arrogant and rude and condescending, and who could possibly like that kind of behavior?
Absolutely. John, I really wanted you on the program to talk about and discuss this Iranian deal, if you will. The more I studied it, the more I looked at it, the more I've perceived what happened over there with John Kerry, Secretary of State, and the attitude of basically taking the boot off the throat of Iran. And you know as well as I do, they're not going to stop anything with nuclear enrichment. They're going to go even further and faster. But the one point I want to start with this morning is we have a citizen from the state of Idaho being held captive back there. He lives in Boise with his wonderful family, and that's Mr. and Pastor Abedini. Why was there no negotiation to say to Iran, okay, boys, we'll start loosening things up, but first and foremost, you let this pastor go, and then we'll sit down and negotiate?
Well, they should have done it. He's locked up because he's a Christian. And there's another guy, another American, Robert Levinson, known as Bobby Levinson, who's an ex-FBI agent, now private detective, who was hunting down something and went to an island in Iran, and he got arrested, and he's being held also, and he's got diabetes, and he's having some health trouble. Both of these guys should have been put up front in these negotiations, and the president, John Kerry, should have said to the Iranians, well, let's see if you're really serious about getting somewhere. Let these people go, and then we'll continue talking. But they didn't do it. So,
John, let me ask you this. And you being a former United States congressman and you're around politics, you have a chance to visit with many, many people every day and what's happening back in Washington, D.C. Plain and simple, has the United States lost its courage and lost its bite through this administration?
Oh, totally. I mean, the proof is in Chinese 2 weeks ago put up this new sort of no-fly zone in over the southern Asian Sea area off of Vietnam and China and Taiwan, that whole area. And they have no right to do it, but they did it. And we have not protested it. We have not said, screw you, we're flying through there anytime we want, which is our right to do, and so is everybody else's right. They perceive that Obama is weak and getting weaker, and they're pushing farther and harder because he's weak. They're doing it. The Syrians are doing it. The Iranians are doing it. Hezbollah is doing it. Putin is doing it in the Ukraine. They're all doing it because America and the American president are perceived as being squishy.
Were you surprised, John? You and I you're a little younger than I am, not much. But our generation went to Vietnam. And I sat there and watched John Kerry as a Vietnam pacifist and basically condemn his country, the United States of America, in the Vietnamese War. Are you surprised as to the reincarnation and the reestablishment of John Kerry, of all people, to be the Secretary of State and involved in really on these deals as to how we treat other countries?
No, it fits a pattern. First of all, I mean, the wimping out of the Obama administration, Zeb, has happened especially since John Kerry took over as Secretary of State. We've had a bad deal in Syria, basically allowing Assad to stay in power and keep his chemical weapons. We have a bad pullout of Afghanistan agreement pending the decision of the Afghan government. And then this Iranian nuclear deal. That's 3 deals in 3 months. And he's only been in office 10 months. Hillary had no deals in 4 years. None. But this guy wants a legacy. He wants a big foreign policy resume. And so does Obama, because Obamacare is so unpopular. They want other stories to get on the news, including peace with Iran, new breakthrough, that kind of thing.
I totally agree with you. I just said this on my program 2 weeks ago. This is nothing more than another smokescreen. When the IRS scandal happened, when the scandal against James Rosen with Fox News, when the scandal happened about Benghazi and all these other things, this administration is absolutely the best at championing new efforts to hide things away from the American public, and they've got the news media on their side.
Where have all the scandals gone? That's what I keep saying. Why have the Republicans dropped the ball? We have the House of Representatives. Why aren't we investigating these scandals more aggressively? Why isn't there a select committee investigating the Benghazi affair? They have 177 Republican congressmen have signed on to a resolution calling for the creation of a select committee to finally do a full investigation, do the whole thing in 90 days of Benghazi. Who, what, when, where, why, all of it. Boehner won't allow it to happen. Tell me why. We don't do any investigating on this NSA thing, the politicization of the IRS. One of the counts of impeachment against President Nixon was because he mused about, maybe I'll use the IRS to go after my enemies. Well, here the Obama administration is actually doing it. And we can't get the Republicans in the House to really do a serious investigation. So it's a disaster, this thing.
Well, let me ask you this, John. As you look at the Middle East right now, and you look at Syria, and you look at Pakistan, and you look at Afghanistan and Iraq, and of course the main cog in the wheel is Iran. As they go, so does the Middle East, I honestly believe. What do you think, honestly, is happening there right now with the enrichment of their nuclear programs and their basic thumbing the nose at us in the West? What are they going to do, or what do you think and fear they're going to do in the next year?
I believe they are secretly enriching uranium as fast as they can to get enough to build several nuclear weapons. But they'll keep it secret the same way Israel has had them for 40 years and never acknowledged it, for 50 years. They have it. Everybody knows they have it, but they won't admit it. I think that's what's going to happen with the Iranians. They're going to get them, and then they're going to never admit they have them, but they're just going to there'll be rumors that they have it, and you won't really know. And this agreement will allow that to happen, because the only sites that are inspected by this agreement are sites that Tehran itself designates as nuclear sites where they're working on nuclear weaponry. But I know of one place, a base called Parchin, P-A-R-C-H-I-N. Parchin is not covered, Zeb, by this agreement, and they are doing weaponization of nuclear materials on that base. So, how are we going to stop it if we can't even inspect it?
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, and you, as a former United States congressman, you have the ins and outs much more so than I. But once we release the pressure from these sanctions on Iran or any country and basically say, okay, we're going to back off on everything, and they go ahead, isn't it really twice as hard, John, to reimpose the sanctions if they're not the good boys that they're supposed to be?
Well, it would not be hard for us to reimpose American sanctions because our Congress wants to do it, believe it or not. But it's other sanctions. It's the European sanctions and the private business sanctions that are getting weakened now that we've made this agreement. You got to realize there are thousands of big-shot businessmen who want to do business deals with Iran, oil deals, diamond, all sorts of stuff. They've been prohibited until now from doing it. But now that we have started this process of relaxing some of our sanctions on them, the business people are going to say, hey, the coast is clear, the trend is in our favor, let's start doing deals again with the Iranians. And that will be almost impossible to turn off once they start up again.
What about our allies over there in that region, John? Again, with your knowledge on Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and especially Israel, what's going through their minds right now with what John Kerry and this administration did in easing the sanctions on Iran?
They don't trust the United States at all. Both Saudi Arabia and Israel are our best allies in their areas. Israel is our best ally in the Middle East, period. Saudi Arabia is our best Arab ally. And they now have both said they don't trust Obama, they don't trust the administration, they don't trust Kerry, they don't like this agreement. They both are talking to each other, Zeb, about a military alliance. Who to thunk it? Saudi Arabia and Israel in a military alliance to go bomb the nuclear sites in Syria, in Iran to slow down their program. If not kill it, at least slow it down by 5 years, say.
Unbelievable.
Now, that has huge consequences if they did it. Because the minute bombs start flying in Iran and in the Straits of Hormuz, the price of oil, which today is around $100 a barrel, will go overnight to $200 and $300 a barrel, which means gas at the pump, which around here is around $3.85 a gallon. Well, it could be $8, $9, $10 in a couple of weeks. Can you imagine what that would do to our economy?
Well, it would completely shut it down. I'm not the expert you are, but I think it, with inflation and a shutdown of the economy, it would turn this entire economy off. It would be on the off switch.
That's it. That's it. And the Iranians know it, and they're holding it over our head. They know that. And Israel knows it. They don't want to be the ones responsible for not only hurting the American economy, but wiping out the Japanese economy because they import all their oil. And you know who profits from us, or the Israelis and the Saudis attacking Iran? Is the oil industry. The Saudis will make more money. The Russians will make more money because the price of oil will skyrocket for them.
Absolutely.
And they're sellers. They're selling this stuff.
I've got to ask you one last question, and it doesn't pertain to Iran, but it's, you and I have talked about this before on past programs, and it gets worse every day. It's like an amoebic cancer cell that just gets bigger every day, and that's Obamacare. I have never in my adult life seen anything that just keeps getting worse and worse instead of better daily.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. I mean, today, two new things have come out. Number one, that line, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, well, may not be so true. It may be that if you like your doctor, you have to pay more to keep your doctor than if you just let Obama assign you to a doctor. So we were never told that. And then the other thing is, it looks like a lot of the Obamacare health care plans that people are buying have a 42% higher deductible than they realize. The deductible is the amount you pay out of your pocket before the insurance starts to pay. So apparently hospitals are bracing now for a lot of patients to come. They need to come to the hospital for something. But when they get the bill and the insurance won't cover it, the bill ain't getting paid. And the hospitals are girding themselves for a rash of unpaid bills in 2014.
Oh, my. It gets worse and worse.
It does.
John, I've got to have you back on the program in the not-too-distant future to discuss this more in its entirety, but I want to wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas, God's blessings, and thank you so much for taking your time to come on my program this morning.
My pleasure, Zeb, and Merry Christmas to you and your family and everybody listening. And as my brother just said, God's country, Idaho.
Thank you so much. Former United States Congressman from New York and political pundit and author, John LeBoutelier. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Talk to you soon.
You bet. Thank you. Very interesting and informative gentleman. And as a matter of fact, he's on that show called Political Insiders on Fox News with Pat Caddell, Doug Schoen, and that's John LeBoutelier. And thank you very much. I think the host from Fox News also is that really, really great news person, Harris Faulkner. And they do a great job. Thank you very much for taking the time to come on our program this morning. We got a mess, folks. We've got a mess with this Obama administration. But a lot of people won't admit it because they voted for him. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to have a weather update real quick with Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. I'm going to make this real simple for you. You're not going to see 40 until Saturday. That's what's happening right now. 11 above for the high. 21 for the high tomorrow, 28 for the high on Wednesday. You will slowly warm up, but you won't see 40 until Saturday. Stay warm, put a sweater on, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that very much. The weather with MichaelRogersWeather.com. Did you fall off the ladder trying to put your Christmas decorations up? Did you kind of burn yourself when you were soldering the wires together on Rudolph? Well, I know the place to go if you have minor emergencies and need major care. The Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Wonderful people. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Quality care, save money. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9, Sundays 1 to 7. No appointments necessary. We've had these folks on my program in the past, and excellent service to you folks in the Mini-Cassia area, and for that matter, all over the region. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Number to call, put it on your refrigerator, 678-6996. Let's get the lovely Gina Jameson on the program for a minute. Been a busy program this morning, Gina.
It has been a very busy program this morning.
I really enjoy John LeBoutelier from New York, and I don't know if you've ever seen that program on Sundays, I believe it is, on Fox News. And he has Doug Schoen, another liberal Democrat that I've had on this program. You remember, you're the one that placed the call about a year ago. And Doug Schoen is one of the very few Democrats that I agree with a lot of times because of his stand against Obama.
And, you know, honestly, for a Democrat to be standing against the president is rather unheard of, but I applaud him, seriously.
And the other guy, have you ever watched Pat Caddell? Pat Caddell is a very big man with very dark eyes, very dark rimmed glasses, and very dark hair. And quite frankly, he's scary to look at. But you put Pat Caddell, a Democrat, Doug Schoen, a Democrat, and John LeBoutelier, a conservative, on that same program. But it's amazing that Caddell and Schoen, they all share in the same values of being honest, which this administration doesn't appear to be.
I don't think they know the definition of honesty.
I tend to agree with you. Hey, by the way, let's tell everybody what's going on this week, shall we? Thursday, you're going to be, unfortunately, over at the board, and I'm going to be at the Valleywide Home and Ranch Cowboy Christmas remote. We're going to be over there this Thursday morning coming up, and we're going to do the whole program over there at Valleywide, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, and they're going to have registering during the program for men's and women's clothing they're going to give away. Oh, they're going to give away some fancy outfits. And free cinnamon rolls the first hour. I'll save one and have one sent to the station for you. And they're from Sophie's Chatterbox, the size of Spalding footballs. Have you ever had one?
Oh, yes, and they are so delicious.
They're huge.
I know.
And then they're going to have at the store 10% off everything in the store, excluding fuel. And then, listen to this, clothing and boots, you buy 2 and get 1 free of equal or lesser value.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And guess who's going to be singing over there?
You? And Ken Mort.
Ken Mort is going to be over there singing Christmas carols. We did this last year, and they had the biggest day they've ever had at Valleywide. So come on by Valleywide Home and Ranch Christmas Cowboy Remote coming up this Thursday from 8 to 11. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I think as soon as I can skedaddle out of here, I might head on over there just to send you off.
I hope so. So. That's going to be Thursday.
Okay.
Real quick, let's see, tomorrow on the program, we've got Senator Dean Cameron talking about the health exchange and also the debacle of Obama doesn't care. And then Dr. History is going to be on. We are I think we're going to have one of the people with the Cassia County School Lunch Program.
Okay.
Now, I'm just going to come right out and tell you that I'm against school lunch programs. I'm against the federal government's involvement. I've talked to so many parents over the course of the last, I would say 4 to 5 months that are absolutely irate that their children are not getting enough to eat and enough of decent food during the day to keep their motors running. And parents are outraged over the lack of food that the school lunch programs are serving.
Well, and I know that, because I've been kind of keeping track on this, and a lot of school districts and a lot of states are backing out of this.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. And so we're going to have, I wished I had the person's name right here on my piece of paper, but I don't. But she's going to be on tomorrow morning, I think, at about 10:30.
Okay.
And then I think we're also going to have the open forum, as you know, the first hour with a lot of discussion of various things that are going on. And you do know that Zeb at the Ranch, along with the Rupert POW, is asking folks to drop off canned goods at various locations to help feed the needy folks around the area. And I really would appreciate it if you go to Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Les Schwab and Rupert, Paul, and Burley, the City of Rupert offices, Valleywide Home and Ranch, Kings in Rupert, and Alaska's Best in Rupert, and look for the boxes that say Zeb at the Ranch along with the Rupert POW, and please put some canned goods in there so that we can better serve some of the needy families at this Christmas season.
Amen.
With that being said, big games yesterday in the NFL, tremendous games on Saturday in college football, and Auburn, in my opinion right now, if they end up playing Florida State, will be the number 1 team in the nation.
You think so?
I think this Auburn group of kids, they've got incentive, they've got all the ability, talent-wise, to go all the way, and quite frankly, if I were Florida State and I found out I was going to play them in the national championship, I'd be a little scared right now.
The one game that my brother and I were actually listening to was tight game, and that was Seattle and San Francisco.
Who won that game, Gina?
Yeah. San Francisco won by, what was it, bro? 2 points? 2 points.
I'm going to tell you something, though. You're going to be shocked. I am not a Seattle Seahawks fan, but I'm turning into one. They're a great team, and there were a couple of calls that went against them that I wasn't really in favor of. I watched that game, and quite frankly, I'm becoming a Seahawk fan. But before we go and run out of time,
okay,
the Packers did win yesterday. They have a slim glimmer of hope making the playoffs. If they win out, they could possibly go to the playoffs. I'm not dead yet.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the Seahawks are going to go to the playoffs, and so we're pretty excited about that. But yesterday, it was definitely a nail-biter of a game. Some of the calls went one way or the other, just depending on which ref was calling. But, wow, Colin Kaepernick, they were studying their video because their first game that they met at in Seattle, Kaepernick didn't know what hit him.
Yep.
He could not come out and play. And yesterday he actually got out onto the field. It was his home turf, and I think he felt a little bit more comfortable, and they were watching video. You could tell that they actually studied the Seahawks before they actually stepped out onto the field.
Did you see the Philly-Detroit game in all that snow? Oh, my gosh, that was good watching. They tackled the one old boy in the end zone, and he was gone. Poof! In a cloud of snow. He was gone.
Did they actually have to, plow out the hash marks?
Yeah, they did. There was like 6 inches of snow on the field.
See, that's true football right there.
It was fun watching. Hey, listen, we'll saddle the horse tomorrow morning at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours on Zeb at the Ranch right here on KBAR 1230 AM and streaming live on the net all over the world on ZebBell.com. God bless you. The way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.